if you haven't had enough racing this year, or you just want it to be a 24/7 kind of thing, our next guest is a guy who can talk about that very knowledgeably. Guy's been in this sport an awfully long time. We're excited to have Steve Potter, who now represents iRacing.com, join us on the Verizon Wireless Hotline. Steve, have you shoveled out up there? Is it okay to get around? Or?
Well, I can tell you I'm in Portland, Maine today, and it is cold and snowy. But you know what? There are a bunch of iRacing members who are racing at Oxford Plains today. And they're not just racing at Oxford Plains. They're racing at tracks all over America and all over the world through the magic of iRacing.com and the Internet.
Wow. It's an unbelievable technology that's been assembled here. I've been trying to get my buddy Chalk here to turn on to it. It's just fantastic. I mean, we're so excited about all this. How did this all come about?
Well, people started making racing games more than 20 years ago. Dave Kemmer, who's our chief technical officer, and with John Henry, the owner of the Boston Red Sox and co-owner of Roush Fenway Racing, started the company in 2004, drawing on Dave's expertise in doing computer racing games that each one was more and more realistic, and they got to know each other. John was a big fan of the work that Dave had done through the years, and he said, if you had the time and the money, could you create something that was absolutely the mirror image of the real world of a race cars and tracks? He said, because I'd really like to recreate the whole world of racing, NASCAR racing and other forms of racing in the virtual space. And in the course of the last 6 years, that's what we've done.
Yeah.
And it's available to anybody who's got $8 a month and an internet connection and a PC.
Let me ask you this question. And look, I've seen some racing games. We all have. We know that technology is advanced, and we've gone from a little box car to the real deal. How in the world do they do this? How do you guys make it so real that we think we're in a real automobile?
Chocolate, I'm going to let you in on the secret. Don't tell the listeners. It's magic. It is. I mean, technology marches on, and people, and there are smart people out there. But I'll tell you specifically how we do what we do. The tracks. If you've had a chance to drive around, they're just. You can't believe that you're not seeing an in-car camera view of television. And we use a laser scanning technique, a surveying tool that lets us reproduce the track with millimeter accuracy, literally a tiny fraction of an inch. So we literally know more about the track physically than the companies that own those tracks. So every bump, every little change in the banking or crack that's there, the infamous bump coming off turn 3 at Pocono. It's not only is there a bump there, but it's the exact bump. And when we recreate the cars, we work with the people who have built the cars, who have all the plans for them, and the mathematical model of the car, it's got all of the engine masses, the diff, everything is in the right place so that the dynamics of the car are exactly right. The geometry of the suspension is correct, and our members are able to adjust the cars in exactly the same ways that the teams do. To make a track bar change has exactly the same effect. A click on the shocks, a little more bump, it's going to have the same effect. It really is amazing. And I know when Danica Patrick was interviewed week before last and introduced to the NASCAR press, she mentioned that they were going to get her going on iRacing to learn how it was different to drive a 3,400-pound stock car as opposed to a 1,600-pound Indy car. And drivers in the real world use these cars to learn or use the service to learn new cars or tracks they haven't been to. But most of our customers are fans who want to get as close to the real thing as they can.
It's just unbelievable stuff. As we were talking, I was riding with a modified around New Hampshire, and the level of reality or realism that's in this is just unbelievable. Steve Potter from iRacing.com is with us. The thing that most excited me, Steve, when we first talked about this several weeks ago, there is a NASCAR league that's going to start very soon, right?
Well, that's right. We formed a partnership with NASCAR earlier in 2009. The folks there were very receptive. They saw something that a lot of people didn't, and that is that, if you're a baseball fan, a football fan, I mean, we're all fans. We like basketball and stuff. Well, everybody shot some hoops. I mean, you might not be Michael Jordan, but you know what it's like to play basketball. You know what it's like to hit a golf ball, even if, you're not a professional golfer. But racing is different. Most fans never have a chance to actually sit in a race car of any sort, any time. There are real world things you can do. You can go to the Richard Petty School and do some laps, but you get a sense of the sound and the feel and the heat and so forth, but you don't feel the car absolutely on the limit. And the folks at NASCAR saw that this was a way for NASCAR's real core fans. Well, let's face it, the kind of folks who tune into Sirius Radio all the time to get the latest updates and find out what's going on in the sport, a chance for them to see what a car feels like on the ragged edge and to enjoy competing against other fans and real regular NASCAR racers, because they're in the same races.
Yeah.